JP Morosi, who's been locked in this offseason.
JP? What a way to start the show.
Carlos Correa, 13 years, $350 million, JP. Your immediate reaction was what?
Well, good morning. My immediate reaction is I had a lot of really insightful things to say about Carlos Correa, but Harold just said them all. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave. I'll come back at the top of the next hour with my next segment.
Stealing your thunder.
But what I couldn't tell,
JP.
Harold, well done.
What I couldn't tell, though, is how did this all come about?
Yes.
How did he land in San Francisco? And were there other seekers?
Yes, Harold. First of all, great analysis off the top of the show. And I'll say a couple things. Number one, much like Aaron Judge to an extent, when it was Yankees and Giants, there may not have been, and the Padres obviously at the end with Aaron, there might not have been a half a dozen or 10 suitors for Correa, but the right teams were involved. And the Giants, of course, were the place that needed the superstar. To Adnan's point earlier, the Twins still wanted him. And that was important, I think, from the standpoint of how the negotiations played out, that Carlos's representatives were able to still have that other team to play the Giants off and say, well, we can always go back to Minnesota. We know they're in there for an offer of at least more than $200 million and well above there. And so there was that back and forth. There was a report yesterday from Ken Rosenthal about the Mets' interest in Correa potentially playing third base. But I would say this, it's different for Carlos to play third base for Team Puerto Rico for 2 weeks in March, which he'll do, as opposed to signing on to play third base for years. He is a shortstop. And Harold, you know this, you've talked about this before. There's that pride of the position that he plays. He wants to be the quarterback of the defense. He wants to be in the middle of the diamond. He wants to go to a marquee, historic franchise to play shortstop there, reestablish the Giants after the 1 year of being out of the playoffs, back on the map. He wants to get back to October. He saw all his former teammates in Houston win the World Series with his immediate successor in Jeremy Pena as the toast of baseball for the month of October. He wanted the stage, and he's got it now. He also has, and again, a great job by Eric Naves with all the research on this, his second largest free agent contract ever. And Harold, I'll send it back to you on this. I love the West Coast rivalry getting even hotter. When you think about the Giants and Dodgers playing their first series of the season when they meet at Dodger Stadium, whenever they meet for the first time in LA, and Carlos Correa, who of course Dodger fans know well from the 2017 World Series with Houston, he walks into Dodger Stadium with San Francisco on his chest. My goodness, what a great boon that's going to be for the rivalry. I cannot wait to see that game.
Oh, it's going to be ugly. We got video after we let you go, JP. We'll show you a little bit of what it was like when he was an Astro or even when he went back through the Dodgers system facing folks. That was tough. But hey, I want to jump on the one thing real quick, too, with him moving to third base. You're 100% right. Look, these guys are signing contracts now that are taking them to the Hall of Fame. By the time his career is over, he's headed to Cooperstown. So is Bryce Harper. So is Judge. Because they're going to play. What these years give you, they're guaranteed you're playing.
Yeah.
And if they play, their numbers are going to be there. He is not going to sit there and pull an A-Rod and move to third. He didn't want to do that. He's already won a title. A-Rod had never won anything.
Yeah.
And said, okay, I'll go join the Yankees or I'm going to get a ring and I'll move to third. Correa's already won. He'd made money in Houston along the way. Now this is about legacy for him. And so that's kind of how I see that whole thing. He's the perfect fit, JP. I'll throw it to you back with this. You have a manager who's sabermetrically minded. You have a front office who's sabermetrically minded. And he is the first player, I think, not the first, but he's the best known for me, of really grasping the numbers. That's why he grew up in Houston under Lunal's tutelage of understanding sabermetric numbers. And I remember talking to him and saying, hey, what happened? What was the difference with you winning the Gold Glove this particular season? And he said, well, I sat with our sabermetric group, and they told me exactly what I need to do. I'm sorry, but that's a modern-day player.
Yes.
That's not happening in my day. And I think he's that guy.
You're
and
right,
that fits. That's why it's a fit in San Francisco.
Good point.
That's a great point. I remember interviewing Carlos when he was still a rookie in the postseason. They of course played that great series, Astros and Royals, back in 2015. And Carlos's ability as a first-year player to sit down and talk through the nuances of a series, of a game. Harold, he thinks the game in a way that very few players do, to your point. And I think that's going to contribute to his longevity. He sees the sport, the industry, from the full 360. I think that's really important. The other thing I'll point out, too, and we showed a moment ago that the Giants lineup and how it's going to look in 2023. Let's remember what this means for someone who's been a career-long Giant. Brandon Crawford is now third baseman as of right now. And that, I think, reflects so well on Brandon as a teammate. Of course, he was a gold medalist with Team USA in addition to being a multiple-time World Series champion. Brandon knows, I think, where he's at in his career. And when you consider Posey having retired, Brandon Belt's a free agent, Crawford becomes that link to where the franchise was and now where they can still be going. And I think for Carlos to have Brandon Crawford right beside him is a really powerful example. You have not heard at all. There has not been a word uttered from Brandon Crawford or his camp about, hey, I'm still the shortstop, or I got to play here or there. Nothing. He is a great teammate, and I think that Carlos Correa is going to benefit immeasurably from the imprimatur of having Brandon Crawford there beside him, endorsing this new look infield and what Brandon Crawford means to that organization.
That's why Brandon Crawford looked good playing with his brother-in-law with the Yankees. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Crawford, by the way, has only ever played shortstop in his career, and to the point with similar metrics. Correa, the last 2 years among shortstops, #1 in WAR, WRC+, defensive run save. He's all about that.
If I'm the Yankees, I'm making that call right now. JP, great stuff, bro.
Oh, one more for you, JP. Ross Stripling, 2-year deal, $25 million. He was great for the Blue Jays last year. They really needed him when Kikuchi was out, Ryu was out. Stripling, again, this adds the Dodgers-Giants rivalry. Former Dodger, now with San Francisco.
Great point, Adnan. And of course, Ross Stripling, it was in San Francisco, that near no-hitter early in his career that he was pulled from correctly, by the way, because he was so young at that point in time. But as you see Ross Stripling, he is the word that I use for him, the phrase staff saver. He saves your staff. Great teammate. He will take the ball in any circumstance. There's no accident. He was there with all those great Dodger teams during the time of his career with that organization. And then what he meant to the Blue Jays. By the way, they lose Stripling. They add Bassett. I still think they're going to miss what Stripling did there in Toronto. And as you see here, the Giants really a crucial addition. He basically gets the same contract as Sean Manaea, and that pretty much finishes up their rotation right now. There was some talk they might have brought Carlos Rodon back. I would say that now that you've added Manaea and Stripling, probably ends that possibility. And you see what that group of starting pitchers had done in 2022. Again, no 200-inning starter, but again, as we realize in the game today, that is the exception rather than the rule. And to have Stripling up there, I do think that he could be, whether he's the 2-starter, 3-starter, he's going to get, I think, the chance to be a full-time starting pitcher with the San Francisco Giants. Wood can potentially have a bit of a hybrid role or be the 5th starter. DeSclafani, as we saw it there, missed a lot of time due to injury in 2022. So I think overall, Gabe Kapler has to like the way that his rotation looks right now. He certainly has to like his infield as well. A very, very busy couple of days with the San Francisco Giants.
JP, awesome stuff, man. We'll talk to you again shortly. San Francisco getting it done, as are you.